He thinks that
he makes $100 million each fight. Why would he do bare knuckle fighting when he could just bare knuckle some guy in a bar?
I know.
Especially the old man.
Yeah, he bare knuckled that old man. They got him in a lot of trouble. He doesn't want to do that again.
Back in
the
the
old
early,
man deserves a rematch. We all know
back
that.
in the early 1900s.
Yeah, when is that happening? That's a good question. We were just wondering, because that was like the only, with the UFC being so popular and even their women's division kind of struggling for like actual legitimate fights besides like Shevchenko and Nunes.
Yeah.
It's like you're looking at like her in Bellator and then you have Kayla Harrison in one. That's really the only fight that like could ever happen, but it's not going to happen anytime soon because they're both locked into like new contracts.
Oh, they all are. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it kind of sucks. Like for women's UFC and you just women's MMA in general, it's like you have like 3 dominant champions, I guess 4 with Shevchenko.
Yeah.
But it's like they're never going to fight each other. So it's like you're never going to be super excited about a women's fight, which is not good for the sport.
Look, if they do like a cross promotion like Bellator does with Ryzen,
yeah,
and it's going to be mega, you know?
Dude, if you did Cyborg versus Kayla Harrison, that's one of the biggest fights you could do, period.
Yeah.
Like that, it's insane.
Exactly. It's exactly right. I mean,
I think Cyborg would tear her in half.
You think so?
Yeah, but Cyborg isn't pissed at Dana White anymore, so she's like just back to fighting. And I think Kayla Harrison's dude, she's only 7-0 and hasn't fought anybody like legitimate.
That's true. That's true.
I heard she said that she was like a slave in the UFC, and she's so happy fighting for Bellator.
But it's just it's like the state of women's fighting in MMA. You have dominant chicks, essentially 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else is either turning into an Instagram model or is just not good enough.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, it's annoying to
something
see.
else.
I feel like the women's division was like pretty damn good maybe even like a year ago, it's a couple of years ago. And now it's just like, you're not going to be excited about any fight besides Shevchenko and Nunes.
Because they're not big names. Like, it has to be big names to actually make it like exciting. And the big names that are up and coming right now, they're not as exciting as we're used to. And I mean, it's kind of going downhill just slightly, maybe a little more. But who knows?
I'm forgetting about Zhang too. My bad.
Zhang,
yeah, she's a monster too.
She's a beast.
Sure.
And she's going against Joanna.
Yeah, but Joanna's turning into an Instagram like.
Oh yeah, that's another
person.
one.
Yeah,
that's why I think she's gonna get smoked.
Oh, dude, she will be smoked. I mean, look at the stuff that she said about like Zhang and her country. I mean, it wasn't the greatest idea from her behalf, but I get what she's trying to do. She's trying to put as the way she put it, meme.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But you know, there's a lot of people going to be making fun of her for sure. Like if she loses, I'm not saying if she win or lose, but after that, if she loses, she'll get made more fun of than before.
For sure. I don't want to get into that pay-per-view though, just because we do need to talk about. By the way, we're just in this thing right now. We just kind of started talking, so
yeah,
we're going. Let's get to UFC 247. Actually, no. Let's talk about first of all how amazing again Curtis Blades with another.
Oh, with JDS
knockout.
Yeah. Dude.
With him. Just before we get to UFC 247, let's just backtrack on everything.
Yeah.
I knew that. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I had a feeling that was going to happen way before the fight started, like even happened.
When it was announced.
When JDS was going with those uppercuts, I was like, this is over, bro. Curtis is going to kill him. Right? What did they do with Curtis Blades? Because it's so weird at the heavyweight division right now. Because even recently we've had comments where, you know, Daniel Cormier, who's been announcing these fights, is saying that he obviously wants his fight, but he also will retire if he doesn't. And Miocic, we've heard, is not able to fight yet. And it's like, what is going on in the heavyweight division with like Francis and Curtis?
Okay, so with the thing with the let's start off with the Stipe and Cormier rematch. I mean, look, we all want that fight for sure. But the thing is, in the second fight, when Stipe was fighting against Cormier, Cormier was kind of poking his eyes out. Like if you notice in the rounds 2 to 3, going into like the 4th round, I believe, or yeah, somewhere around there, and that's when DC started getting close and like getting dirty boxing in, and he kept on poking Stipe's eyes out, and that's what you see kind of Stipe backtracking, and I mean he landed those good hits, but still like it messed up his cornea.
Yeah.
Oh man,
he won't be fighting for like at least a year, I believe he said.
But that's it. But see, don't you have to defend your title within a certain amount of time? Like, obviously he's the champ.
You get like a year or like a year and a half, but no more than that, because like you don't want to hold up the division. You could throw in the interim title, which everybody will be upset, but still be somewhat exciting to have like a fresh new breed of fighters into the mix, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where Curtis Blades comes in. He's like a up and coming guy.
No, and Blades has been like going at it with a pretty good. I mean, how many fights has he won in a row, Curtis Blades?
I think it was like 2 fights, because he beat Lewis. No, he beat Mark Hunt. He beat Mark Hunt, and then he beat JDS, and there's like another guy.
Alistair Overeem, remember?
Yeah, I think that was like a while before though.
Yeah, yep. No. So
that's before he lost to Francis Ngannou.
Since he lost to Ngannou, he's won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember the third guy though. That's for sure.
It was JDS, Justin Willis, and Shamil Abdurkhanimov, or
it's a Russian guy. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
That's when everybody started noticing that Curtis Blades starts implementing his wrestling, because nobody likes to be like taken down, and that's the uncomfortable spot for the opponent, because like they don't want to fight off their back. They're not used to it. The heavyweights are not used to it. The only like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist is that I could think of is Verdum and Olenek. Those are the 2 guys like that comes into my mind. I don't see Ngannou going for it. I don't see DC going for it. I don't see Blades going for it, but he like implements his wrestling, which is great.
Yeah.
But like none of the other heavyweight guys that I've seen as of recently that comes to my memory that has like a special like a jiu-jitsu background. I mean, they all can have it, but they're not using it. You don't see it in the octagon.
Well, yeah, and I think the heavyweight division is in a weird spot because Cormier is not going to fight for the interim title.
No.
Either. Because what we would
he wants that title.
We would want Cormier and Ngannou.
Oh,
because
dude.
Ngannou has beaten Blades
twice.
And we all kind of remember what happened with the Derek Lewis fight. There wasn't many punches thrown, so I don't think Lewis beating Ngannou there makes Lewis jump the thing. Ngannou's had 3 spectacular wins in a row.
Oh, dude, he has
including over Blades, who was obviously the most formidable opponent for him.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where it is. Maybe we do have an interim title. Like, okay, so we can go into 247 here with this one because Derek Lewis fights on this card in his hometown of Houston. So let's just assume Derek Lewis wins this fight. Couldn't we, I guess, if you're looking at interim title matches, what do you do? If you do an interim heavyweight title fight, let's say Miocic, they're like, he's not going to fight till, late 2020 or maybe even next year. At that point, you have to have an interim title fight because if Miocic for some reason can just never fight again.
If I were to have the interim title,
let's just go through a round. What would be your interim heavyweight title? Who are the 2 out of those 3 that are fighting each other?
So if I had to choose for the interim title, my picks will be the winner of Rosenstruck and Ngannou facing DC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't leave out Rosenstruck, man. That guy.
I totally forgot. I apologize.
You can't leave that.
Yeah.
You can't.
I forgot him and Ngannou were fighting. It's just so hard. It's just so far in the future. I hadn't been researching those fights lately. But go ahead.
Yeah. See, you can't leave that guy out, man. He's like a dark horse.
I mean, if he knocks out Francis Ngannou, I mean, it's like maybe that's
another force to be reckoned with.
Oh, but go ahead. Sorry, I'll give my opinion in a second. Sorry, Jesse, go ahead.
No. I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, but if, like I said, the winner of those 2 guys will face DC for the interim title, and the winner from that will face Stipe Miocic when he's ready, up and healthy again.
Well, no, okay, but here's the thing, though. So what you're saying is that because I don't think let's just say Cormier isn't fighting for an interim title and retires instead. What is your interim title match? Like we've kind of named 4 guys here: Blades, Lewis, Rosenstruck, and Ngannou. Who are the 2 out of those 4 that end up fighting for the actual title?
So those 2, between those 4, and I had to choose 2, I'll go with, like I said before, the winner of Blades and the winner of Blades and Lewis facing the winner of Rosenstruck and Ngannou. The winner of those 2 guys fights will fight each other for the interim title and then have the right to fight Stipe. If that's what DC retires though.
Yeah. That we're saying I just don't think DC.
No, dude, he says he's gonna.
I think DC wants to be knocked into the
Nether realm,
fifth dimension by any of these guys.
Shadow realm.
Yeah. So Blades and Lewis haven't fought yet.
No.
So I guess that if Lewis wins, I guess it's him and Blades, right? You kind of have to do that one.
We'll have to.
Because you're doing okay. That's pretty good. Eric, what is your opinion? What do you think the interim title match should be?
Damn, now looking at it, I would have to throw in Derek Lewis and have a rematch from that horrible fight that happened back in that super fight with Stipe and DC. Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou, because it really felt like they didn't showcase enough. And I remember Francis Ngannou was afraid from his last fight. I believe it was up against Stipe, and he lost.
It was like a psychological thing.
Yeah. So that got to him. That got to Francis Ngannou, and I felt like in his heart, you know what? I didn't do much of a good performance up against Derek Lewis, so I do that for the interim belt. I think that's what Francis Ngannou would go for. But there's like a lot of scenarios that can play out. You know, Curtis Blades is also a good one too. Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis would be a great one. I've never seen those guys fought before. But I'm going to stick to the rematch that happened a couple of years ago with Lewis and Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, that seems fair.
That does. Let me just say, I want to see something real quick. I'm looking at something on my computer just to make sure one of these things. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Rosenstruck and Ngannou are fighting on May 28th. That's a pretty long time from now.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Blades will have fought in last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're gonna have Lewis. So it is set up kind of for your scenario.
Yeah. Well, it has
Jesse.
Because
here's where I'm gonna throw a wrench in this thing.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think somehow John Jones is gonna be involved in this.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah, we're like obviously. What I think what we love is John Jones Cormier for the interim title, right?
Well, like since the second bout was like a no contest, yeah.
Well, but we all know who won. we all saw Daniel Cormier die and cry in that ring. Like it's not. We know what happened with that, but I don't think that's happening because I think Daniel Cormier will never fight that man again. I think there's too much. I think there's too much hate with that where it's like. And the fact that it is 2-0, I guess they never fought at heavyweight, so that's different. And Cormier's been in heavyweight, and John Jones has never been in heavyweight. So there is that mismatch right there, I guess, if you had to find one. Well, but yeah, I think almost it's like Dana White's, if he's not going to do an interim title bet unless John Jones comes up. That's what I think might happen, where I think if John Jones comes up, he's not going to fight like Blades or Lewis. It's going to go straight to the top. And so maybe I'll go this. Mine's going to be John Jones versus the winner of Rosenstruck and Ngannou.
That's a good one.
That's for the title.
Scenario.
That
would make sense.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
because I think I honestly think that if Cormier say retires, then we're eventually getting Jones and Stipe for sure. I think that's going to happen as long as Stipe can continue to fight. But if you're going to do interim. And John Jones, he doesn't really have a lot of light heavyweight opponents he can fight. You know, might as well, hey, Jones, here's your first test. These guys are going to try to knock your teeth down your throat, and you just have to avoid it, and you can win. And then you'll be
avoid those big punches.
Yeah, and then if John Jones has the interim belt, and Miocic either waits long enough, or beats Cormier again, or Cormier, whatever. I think it's going to be John. I think John Jones is going to somehow beat him.
Dude, feed John Jones up against Francis Ngannou like right away.
Well, the thing is,
but here's the thing though, and we got to remember about Rosenstruck, because Rosenstruck, like, it seems like he barely hits people, and he's just a dark horse. They perish in the middle of the. Ngannou.
That's what makes a good match between.
Ngannou is. Ngannou looks like he's trying to murder you with his hands. Rosenstruck, it's just like this light leg, and it's like. It's like what Santina did in the Royal Rumble to himself and then fell out of the ring. It's like these. It's so weird. His power is like.
That is a scary man. That is a scary guy.
Those guys are fighting on March 28th.
Rosenstruck is another scary dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is such a crazy fight. Okay, let's move back into the actual card for UFC 247. Let's dive into this to kind of finish off this UFC show. Yeah. We were talking about John Jones a little bit. Obviously, regardless of this fight coming up, I think eventually he'll end up in heavyweight. But looking at this fight with Dominic Reyes, Dominic Reyes comes in. He's a heavy puncher. He's a knockout artist, right? He's a former professional football player. You have John Jones, one of the best of all time. Really hasn't been close to losing a fight since the Alexander Gustafsson first fight.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think happens in this? Do we think that like Dominic Reyes actually is a legitimate threat to Jones, or are we just delaying the inevitable of John Jones winning another fight here?
Well, it's okay. So the way I kind of put this is that Dominic Reyes reminds me of Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson was well known for that freaking bomb, like the H bomb, the left hand, and Dominic trains under Dan Henderson. Like, he goes to his gym and trains there.
Yeah.
And so he's really good with counter punching. Like when he's going back, he can kind of duck. He has that boxing movement in a way. He's got it down, but he relies too much on that counter. And he's not kick heavy. You don't see him like implementing any elbows or knees, but he does have these weird ways of getting people, like when he's backing up, And like we've seen with Derek Brunson, I believe. Derek Brunson got caught with that left hand after he threw that left kick, and then Brunson threw in that right hand. He ducked under it and then stepped back and then gave him a straight punch with the left, and he took him down. But you don't see Dominic Reyes like dominating in the ground at all. I mean, I don't see it.
No, I think this is it's a fight where I think the only taken down here is going to be maybe John Jones, just to punish him a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. I just like
those elbows.
Yeah. Well, it's so crazy watching John Jones fight, because it did punches and knees and elbows and shoulders come out of nowhere with him, and
wrestling.
The thing is with John Jones, he utilizes everything else.
Yeah.
And you have seen other fighters like barely utilizes those things. I mean, the last fight that John Jones had was like with Anthony Smith, I believe.
Thiago Santos.
Thiago Santos.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fight week.
I mean, he kind of backed away because he knew that how dangerous Thiago Santos was with his hands. And then when he got in that pocket, he got caught, but he still kind of blocked those shots. And he kind of cuts off Thiago Santos' range.
Mm-hmm.
When he throws in that left on to the side that kind of sticks out of his hand, he's gonna force him to go a right, and that gives him a chance to throw in that right kick, and that's what brought Thiago Santos down. And I mean, he's gonna make you think go one way, but he's gonna catch you the other way, regardless, and that's what he's gonna do. I mean, that's what I believe, and that's what he's gonna do with Dominic Reyes. The way I kind of look at it, he's gonna go with him on a weaker side, and he's gonna counter that. He's already gonna know what Dominic Reyes is gonna be doing with that left hand. I mean, he's not that well known with any other things other than that left hand.
Yeah. Here's what I think happens in this fight. Okay. I think John will have a similar game plan to like he had with Thiago Santos, just because he knows the power of Dominic Reyes, or at least he was joking about it the other day. He's making his pad work. But I think he does it. He knows that
he acknowledges it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one way Reyes is probably going to win this fight if he does. And so I see John Jones utilizing the 5 rounds. And what I mean by that is not that this fight is going to go 5 rounds, but the fact that Reyes has never been in a 5-round fight.
Never.
And I think he might kind of toy with him a little bit in the first round, even maybe in the second round. And then I think it's destruction time after that. And I think he might shoot, especially with some of Reyes' comments toward him. Mm-hmm. I think he might try to embarrass him.
He will.
Yeah.
And when you look at the last 2 fights Reyes has had, he went the distance in a 3-round fight with Volkan Ozdemir, but a lot of people thought he lost the fight.
I mean, I did too.
And then he had the real quick knockout of Chris Weidman. So he really has not done a good job the last time he went length, and he went short in his last fight. So I don't see this working out if this fight lasts at like any longer than the 3rd round, obviously, because he's never been further than that. And I really don't think you can properly train for a 5-round fight if you've never been in one. So I see this. I see John Jones in a knockout in the 4th of this fight.
I'll say submission.
You're going to say submission? Yeah, I can see that happening too. I'm going to just go. John Jones wins in the 4th. I'll just go knockout because I think it's the punishing.
Yeah.
I think he'll try to elbow him to death or something like that.
I believe he'll do that.
Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna go Jones in the 4th. I'm gonna give him a shout out real here and shout his brother who should have won the. Chandler Jones there.
Sure.
But yeah, okay. So Eric, what's your Jesse? Did you go 4th round too, or what was your actual prediction of the fight?
My prediction submission in round 3.
Okay, fair.
Because I believe Dominic Reyes is gonna gas out in round 3.
Eric, what's your opinion?
The thing is with Dominic Reyes, I mean, I'm not going to question the kid's talent. He's a great striker. I've seen some of his fights. It looked like he was able to, take out most of the top guys, Chris Weidman being one of them. But just by looking at the record books on seeing how John Jones, he's taking out everybody in the light heavyweight division, seeing how Jones is so smart and so fluent, being in the octagon and knowing that he can just toy around with the person. I'm pretty sure he's just going to toy around with Dominic all around the first 4 rounds. So worst case scenario that can go is it's going to go the distance. And just like Jesse's point, it might end in a submission, in a chokehold, because that's how he finished off most of his fights. The last time, like we talked about with Thiago Santos, is that he was just a well-rounded striker. I think Thiago Santos was a much more better striker than Dominic.
He's a berserker, man. He's a berserker.
No, yeah. That's what I'm saying, is that Thiago Santos is a much more better striker than Dominic Reyes. With that being said, I think that this fight won't go that long for Jones, for him to finish it off 3rd or 4th round. But right now I'm sticking with 4th round. Worst case scenario, it's going to go the distance because he can just wrestle him to the ground. And what Dominic Reyes has got going is that I know he's also jiu-jitsu, right? Right, Jess?
No, it's more of a wrestling background.
Right. Okay.
Dominic Reyes has he's more well known for his wrestling than jiu-jitsu. I mean, I haven't seen him implement jiu-jitsu, but I could be wrong. But
maybe it's something for him to utilize it for Jones. So we get to see both of them, wrestle.
Jones utilizes both.
Well, both of them. That's what I'm saying. Both of them are going to go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like around the 2nd or 3rd round, but in the 4th round, Jones is going to end him in a chokehold and he's going to submit him. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, so we all have Jones. Not surprising. I'm Team Jones. But I don't, just because John Jones is probably 1 or 2 favorite fighters right now in the UFC. It's also the respect of just knowing that he's murked everybody he's ever faced. I mean, I'm not going to come out here and say that this former NFL player that he's beaten great opponents. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, he's not an NFL player. He didn't make the cut of NFL.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Obvious. Yeah. So I know at least a little more respect to Greg Hardy. Like he actually played in the NFL.
Yeah. I don't like Greg Hardy that much at all.
Yeah.
He played in the NFL and he came over to the UFC, and I kind of respect a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, yeah, we all got John Jones. We got later because John Jones fights a lot of times don't end early. So I think he's going to toy with him, get knockout. Eric, you kind of think a similar thing, and you got submission. Then Jesse, you're going to go. He ain't going to make the third round. He's going to lose before the third round's over. So we all got John Jones winning this fight. Okay, let's move on. Last thing we'll talk about today. Actually, I have one more thing right after this just to mention real quickly.
Yeah.
Valentina Shevchenko is going to be fighting Kaylin Chookagian. I think I'm saying the name right.
Yeah.
This Chookagian, she won a fight at UFC 244, which was a kind of a number one contenders fight versus Jennifer Maia to get this. But the fight was so underwhelming going up to it. I believe it was on one of the lower cards. It wasn't even on the main card.
No, it was on undercard.
Yeah, it was undercard. So, I mean, we just talked about John Jones and Dominic Reyes. I honestly don't see how this gets out of the second round. I don't see this going any further than the second round. It could end in the first. We saw Shevchenko's last fight. She kicked the girl's head off.
Head
she
kick.
knocked her out cold.
Yeah.
She went to the stomach all day, and that last one, she expected it, and it went to her head instead. And Shevchenko is very knowledgeable when it comes to like throwing those kicks to the liver. I mean, if you're gonna stand in southpaw with her, and you're gonna be southpaw as well, you're gonna get kicked in the freaking liver all day.
Yeah.
And because it has a huge opening.
No, but so we were actually wrong. She did that in June, and then fought 2 months later. Fought Liz Carmouche and actually went 5 full rounds, but ended up defending the title.
Yeah, but the one with Jessica Ai is that Jessica Ai, she beat Jessica Ai, and Caitlin, she lost to Jessica Ai.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I know. So
I get it, and this is what they have to do. And I think the women's fight on, in March is going to be better for the title with Zhang and Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah.
This one just seems like a complete mismatch. And like I said, I'm going to go Shevchenko's second round knockout. I just think she'll kind of look for first round to try to find some areas. I'm not totally saying that you can't see a first round knockout, but I'm going to go second round knockout by Shevchenko. Yeah. TKO, something like that. I don't see that happening any further than that.
Yeah. I mean, after those last couple of fights with Shevchenko, it's obviously, she's heavy favorite for sure, but you can't count out the underdog. What's her name again?
Caitlin.
Chookagian. I think that's how you say her name.
I'll just say Caitlin.
Okay, it's fair.
Yeah, just say Caitlin. Much more easier.
Yeah. And I mean, her last couple of fights came out of decisions. I mean, it wasn't like those heavy favorite fights, but if she can make it past those like rounds 3, I think they'll go to decision if it goes, but in favor of Shevchenko for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll just say now Shevchenko by decision, because Caitlin can last 3 rounds and maybe go 2 more rounds with her.
Okay. It's fair. Yeah. Women don't have as much power, so there is the less chance of the knockout too. So I see what you're saying. Whereas if she does last that long, she's probably going the distance.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's happening at all.
Yeah.
Eric, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Shock is here. What do you got?
Caitlin, she's been winning her matches by decision, and with Shevchenko, she's been winning her matches mostly with knockouts, and a couple of them for decisions. So, with that being said, I just think that I don't see this round going through the distance. It's gonna go probably third round with a head kick. Same thing. She's gonna utilize tight kicks and knock her head out. Not in a good way.
Knock her out cold into the different world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So with that being said, it's gonna be another payday for Shevchenko. But I can't respect the fact that Caitlin will try to push Shevchenko to the limits. But Shevchenko's just done. She does good under pressure. So that being said,
she's dominant.
Yeah, she's just been doing too good as of late. So
she's like the John Jones of her weight class right now, I believe.
So right now, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but so we got and then we all believe Derek Lewis was winning in his fight
versus Ilara Atifi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that does it for like talking about past and present. This is the only thing I want to talk about because this was announced by Dana White, sort of, and also it was topic of conversation during the Super Bowl because these two went at it face to face. Dana White did say that we're going to have Usman and Masvidal
for international
during fight week, which is July. Right, so that's a long time away. Why do you think he's waiting that long to have that fight, considering that there's McGregor out there? Like, why he kind of now forces McGregor to either have a fight before this or wait a pretty long damn time for another big fight? What do you think happened? Like, now that he's announced that this is going to happen in July, unless he just said that because he was just talking out of his ass. What is this? What happens with McGregor now? Because we knew that fight was going to happen anyways. What happens with Conor now? What do we think?
Now with right now, since Conor's like on the sidelines waiting for his next fight, I mean, there's two obvious opponents that kind of go on top of my head right now. Since he has to wait either for the winner of Masvidal and Usman or Khabib and Ferguson.
Yeah.
But the two fighters that I could think of is Diaz and Gaethje.
Yeah.
Those are only two names that could come up right now.
Me.
Those are the big names that you can kind of see in that picture right now. And I believe he's waiting for that, that lightweight title.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. I think those are the only two you really can fight here, but just because of name recognition with Diaz and obviously the third trilogy fight where we don't have a conclusive winner of that rivalry yet.
No.
And I also think Gaethje is a game opponent and serves as a better option than Cowboy Cerrone was now that looking back on it, with a guy that we do believe can take a couple punches and would be able to outlast maybe an early barrage from McGregor, unlike Cerrone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do think I would guess Gaethje because I don't think Diaz is down. I just think it would take a while, or it would maybe take McGregor to win the title or something like that, or win a title, and then Diaz kind of sees the money for it, all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's going to be Gaethje now.
Yeah.
Diaz does what he wants. I mean, that guy, they'll get him talking as soon as the big money, like you said, goes. Like I said, best case scenario for that to happen is July. If you really want to make that card really good, I'd just have Nate Diaz and Conor finalize their trilogy and have it there. And
I'll say August.
Yeah, that's another one. I want to use that one just in case if that doesn't work out during International Fight Week. August, maybe Honda Center.
We'll go to that one.
Yeah.
Please.
Like last year.
Yeah, exactly. What was I just looking at a second ago?
But then the RKJ man wants Khabib and Conor.
Mm-hmm.
That's because it's one of the 3 fights he's seen in his life, so he wants to see that.
I mean, at this point he's got more fights in the welterweight division than the lightweight division, and he's hardly fought in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, we expected him to fight more in that division, but he instead stuck to 170.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't do it in why they wouldn't do one of those fights in May or June. Because if you do it in May, then McGregor gets another fight right after Khabib and all them fight. And then if it's same with June, then you do it right before Masvidal. So it's like the waiting for McGregor is not all. You could also see I could also see him just waiting for Khabib to win or Ferguson to win, and then just setting up a fight for later, and then we're all kind of excited about it. But yeah, I do think if he's gonna fight again, it's gonna be Gaethje. Like I just think Diaz is not gonna accept anything. I think it would be Gaethje in UFC 249 or something like that.
Or hold on. Or
he's not going to not main event. So Eric, I disagree with you. It's not going to be during fight week because he's not sitting behind Masvidal and Usman.
No, he won't do that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It has to be big bucks or somebody like I mean, we all know Dustin Poirier just kind of lost to Khabib right now, but he's another name out.
Yeah, everyone kind of forgets about him, and losing to Khabib isn't a horrible thing either.
No.
It's like losing to John Jones.
Yeah,
it's like it's maybe even better, right? Because Khabib is just so dominant. But yeah, that's another name too. I'm not gonna go with him because I haven't really heard much about that. I just think that Gaethje's name has been out there more. But Victor is interesting.
More active, yeah.
Because look, the time before that, I think not Gaethje, and Poirier and Diaz were supposed to fight, and then I think either Poirier pulled out, I believe, or due to some injury or undisclosed something. But anyways, he wants to do it, book it, and wants to fight Diaz. I mean, he does.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, we all want to see it. I just think Diaz is stubborn.
If Conor and Gaethje eventually do fight, and then another big another card under that will be obviously Poirier and Diaz. I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, holy shit, that'd be a good card.
That one.
Talking about fights, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
there's a lot that could happen, but it is interesting that they announced that that Masvidal Usman fight so far in the future that they could have just done it in May, and it would have been a lot easier for McGregor to kind of choose an opponent after that too.
Well, I mean, he can choose, but with Dana White, he wants him to fight for Khabib and Ferguson, which see a lot of us.
Quick question: do you guys see that as the main event for International Fight Week, Usman and Masvidal, if that's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? What else would be the main event? Conor and Khabib?
No, maybe like a heavyweight bout, maybe like a super fight.
No, because I don't think. No. I honestly don't think that.
It has to be a title picture in it.
I don't even think Stipe and Cormier, if they were to fight in International Fight Week, I don't think that's more marketable than Masvidal. Period. I just don't. I think that would be on the undercard, which is why they shouldn't do that. I think if you're gonna do an undercard for International Fight Week, maybe Nunes and Shevchenko, something like that. But we're looking way in the future.
That's a super fight. Yeah.
That's a super fight, but I just don't think the women there is marketable. So I think putting it on that card that everyone knows is going to be awesome helps. They put John Jones and Nunes by themselves on that card last year. You got
to put off the women's division off a little bit right now because nothing's really interesting in that title in that mix right now.
That's true. I mean, there's so much we could talk about, but we have other podcasts we need to do, and we need to end this one because we can talk all day, to be honest.
You talk forever.
I got to edit a lot of this, so we'll finish this up. We're super excited for UFC 247. We both got Jones. We all three of us have Jones, Shevchenko winning pretty fairly easily. We're excited about the fights that are going to be coming up. We're interested to see what McGregor's going to do later, and we're just excited to see more fights and get back in the fight game. Our next UFC/boxing show will be coming up in the next week or so. We're going to be talking Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury 2.
Ooh, I got chills,
I got a lot of stuff now. Damn. Thank you, Nick. I'll say this. I'm going to talk more about it, but I'm starting to change my opinion now. But we'll talk more about it. Stay tuned.
No, and by the way, Jesse, we know this. We could not have stopped this podcast or done this whole podcast without wishing our man Eric Santos, Eazy-E, the man himself, a happy birthday,
man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Birthday. You mentioned it earlier, but the way it was, I wanted to give him a kind of a whole moment here. So, Eric, how does it feel? How does it feel on your birthday today? What are you doing? How does it feel to be a year older?
27, right? Well, kind of want to age myself, but feels pretty good. Don't feel any different as long as we're doing good, as long as I have my family, as long as we do the podcast, and hope to get back on the air for the radio station. That'd be great. Doing my streaming for gaming as well, simulations for UFC and WWE, hopefully in the future. Can't wait for it. A lot of good stuff.
You can't leave out AEW. You might come out with one game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I did hear about that. There was a sign that said that
Kenny O'Brien
an AEW game. But either way, thanks guys. I appreciate the happy birthday wishes.
Yeah, no problem. I hope John Jones decapitates Dominic Reyes in your honor this Saturday.
That would be a great birthday present. Well, it'd be better if he wished.
We still have to figure out where we're watching this stuff too. We haven't even figured that out. But yeah, so happy birthday to Eric.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not gonna sing or anything, so calm down over there. But we just want to give you a shout out here at the end. And this is a proper end of the podcast. So Eric, I'll let you toss it off. I'll let you finish it off. Finish it off however you want to do it.
Well, guys, as always, and thank you, Jesse, for being a part of it on the
Skype. Thank you, guys.
And Nick as well. This has been the Ring Generals podcast, UFC 247. Can't wait for it. See you there. And as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.